Hey buddies, welcome back to the channel. Today I am back with yet another video from the JoyTangle series. Yes, so we are not done with them yet. We are on day 23 today. And if you're new to the channel and are feeling a little lost, then don't worry. I'm going to give you all the information to bring you up to speed. So, JoyTangle was a 25-day Christmas-themed Zentangle challenge that I hosted in December 2024. And I'm currently posting this video in February of 2025. Yeah, I am that late. But in my defense, I didn't anticipate or expect that you guys would want full length tutorials of all of these projects that I created during the Christmas challenge. But as it turns out, you guys loved the projects, and luckily, I had full length video recordings of all of these projects that I had posted as Instagram reels. So now I am posting all the full-length detailed tutorials over here on my YouTube channel as and when I'm getting the time to edit them, and hopefully I should be able to wrap these up in the next couple of days. So we are on day 23 today, and for this challenge, which as I mentioned was called JoyTangle, I had created a list of 25 prompts so that we could use one prompt every day from the 1st to the 25th of December. And we could create 25 beautiful drawings for ourselves, and that way we'd have like a pretty beautiful mini collection in Christmas colors, and that you could also basically use these projects to level up your Zentangle practice and to basically de-stress, relax, and unwind during the holiday season. So that was the intention behind creating the JoyTangle challenge. And the prompt for day 23 was this wonderful tangle called Riki Tiki, which I had discovered recently. And if you are interested to know more about the creator of the tangle as well as the step outs, then as always, there'll be a link to that in the description box below. I think off the top of my head, Riki Tiki was created by Renee King. I think so. I could be wrong, but yeah, do check the description box for all the updated information. So that was supposed to be the focal tangle. And then I thought that I can actually pair that up with something interesting, something like a circular or tangle, or like something that can be like a focal tangle. Because when I saw Riki Tiki for the first time, I realized that it kind of gives like the feeling of being like a border tangle or like a ribbon tangle, and it has these connected elements, which they can be used to fill up like an entire space as well, but because of the formation, it sort of gave the impression of being like a border tangle or like a ribbon tangle to me at the first glance. So then I thought that it'd be interesting to pair it up with some sort of a focal tangle, or like a tangle that can sort of support Riki Tiki. And so then I decided to go for drawings. So what you actually saw me drawing in the beginning of the video is the tangle called drawings. And I have used drawings in a couple of different projects over here on the channel itself, which I'm going to link in the description box below. I think when I was doing the duo tangle episodes in the Friday Friendship series, which was like an old series that I was doing on my channel, that time I covered drawings in a very beautiful color pencil project as well. So I'm going to link that in the description box below. And then the next thing that you're seeing me draw over here with these curvy lines or these stripes basically is the actual prompt tangle for the day, which was Riki Tiki. So as you can see, it basically has these little triangular sections which kind of look like arrowheads, and then you can of course embellish them, but in this particular case, I'm just going ahead and coloring them in. So once I was done with two of those red Riki Tiki elements, then I decided to go in the opposite direction and also use a different color, which in this case is green, and then tried to basically just go in the opposite direction. I mean, you can do them all facing in the same direction if that's what you like, but I just thought it'd be fun to play with the orientation and the direction and just see how it shapes up. One of the reasons why I love doing these longer challenges is because it kind of gives you the flexibility and the freedom to explore different ways in which the same tangle can be used. And it's all for practice, it's all for fun, it's all for upskilling. So even if the project doesn't turn out good, it's okay. You just had a good practice run. So that's completely okay if some of your experiments don't work the way you want them to work. So yeah, I just decided to do it the opposite direction. And so you can see me adding the green details over here. And then once that was done, I went back in with my gold pen and started to add in these little caps, or like these hollow, I don't know what they should be known as. I think they're hollow cylindrical things that go under the triangles. I think they make them look like cones. I don't know what to call them, but basically they're just like caps. You're kind of like adding like round elements. And one of the reasons why I'm purposely doing this in the gold pen is because if you remember from the first day of the challenge where we had fungies as our prompt or the focal tangle for the first day of the project, then even in fungies we actually had something similar, because fungies also has like a similar structure, just that instead of triangles it basically has like a bell sort of shape, and then you have these little rounded elements at the bottom. And I had done those also in the gold pen, which is why I thought it would be interesting to add some similar visual language over here as well, because one of the goals that I had during the 25-day project was to create a mini series or like a cohesive series of 25 different drawings which would have some similar motifs or similar visual language. And so using similar colors, using similar visual language, using similar styles, similar embellishments, and repeating a few patterns here and there, all of this basically helps to create a little bit of harmony, a little bit of unity, and then it just comes out as a cohesive series. So that's why I decided to do this with a gold pen. Okay, then for all the empty space that was left out, I basically did the opposite color. So if there was a stripe with green Riki Tiki elements in it, then I did the opposite color to fill up the leftover white space, which in this case is red. And then similarly, if there were red Riki Tiki elements, then for all the white empty space, I used the green pen. And that's how I basically created this interesting striping-like effect. Now, I do realize that at this point, it just basically seems like all mixed up and you can't really make out that this is Riki Tiki anymore. And this usually happens with a lot of black and white tangles, which look really interesting with the black and white contrast in the classic Zentangle color scheme. But when you try to do them with different colors, then the effect kind of gets lost. And in this case, I could have sort of made it like pop out a little bit more by probably using a darker color or even outlining some of the elements, or even, I don't know, making them all go in the same direction and not doing the colors alternate. Maybe all of that could have helped. But like I said, I was basically just having fun with the project, and I actually didn't mind what came out eventually. It just seemed like this beautiful, sort of like an optical illusion of patterns, a complete mashup of the different motifs. And I actually loved the result towards the end of it. I didn't mind that this little experiment of mine turned out to be this way, and it created something new for me. So I ended up learning something over there. So yeah, that was a good learning from this day of the project. Okay, so once that was done, I went inside the drawings elements that I had created, and then I basically just added in some curvy lines and gave them line weight, which is very similar to the Tangle Senna, which we have done a couple of times in different projects during this 25-day challenge. And again, I wanted to create like a candy cane or like a peppermint candy sort of an effect over here with like a little swirling whirlpool like quality to these elements. It's very similar to some of the projects that we have done in the first few days of the challenge itself, where I try to create like these swirly candy like effects in some of the drawings. And again, if you're interested to check out all the 25 days of this particular project and you want to have a look at all the projects basically, then you can find them in the playlist, which is the JoyTangle playlist, which is going to be linked in the description box below. So once you have a look at the projects, you'll kind of understand why I decided to go in and add these little Senna like elements over here. Also, what I'm doing over here is very similar to the peppering effect in Zentangle. So even if you can't really relate this to the Tangle Senna, then you can definitely relate this to the peppering technique in Zentangle, which in the recent times has become quite popular with a lot of the tanglers that I know. And I've actually seen some wonderful drawings come up with the peppering effect. And the peppering effect basically stems from the tangle pepper, which was basically the inspiration behind adding these little lines with line weight at the end. And then eventually, like a lot of tanglers started using it in other tangles as well. So it just became like this tangle enhancer that now everybody in the Zentangle community uses. And so, yeah, if you've been practicing Zentangle for quite some time, then you probably know what I'm talking about. But even if all of this sounds like gibberish to you right now, don't worry. Just basically think of it as simple lines, curvy or wavy lines, almost like an S stroke, which ends at the edge of the element. And then you just basically add a little rounding to it with a little bit of color, and that's basically adding line weight. And yeah, that's all that we need to do to create this little effect. Okay, after that was done, it was time to address all the negative space behind the drawings. And so for this, I decided to go for simple stripes because I didn't want the focus to be taken away from the drawings elements, and they kind of look like these beautiful floral blooms, and I didn't want the effect to be taken away. I didn't want any other pattern to sort of overwhelm and suffocate the entire composition. So I just decided to go in for simple stripes. And again, the visual language that I'm keeping over here is very similar to some of the projects that I have done during the 25-day challenge. So I'm basically just going alternate with simple stripes. And then once they're done, then you will basically just see me going back to the drawings flowers and just adding in a little bit of emphasis to them by just going around the periphery once again and just sort of making the border a little bit thicker. So I'm just making it a little bit bold. And you can, of course, do this with a thicker pen, with a bigger nib size. But in this particular case, I just had just this one nib size, which is, I think, the 0.5. And so I just went back in with the same one and just gave it a little bit more emphasis. I think it could have been a 0.3. I don't remember. I just remember having one pen that day because something happened and I didn't have my entire set with me. So I do remember that I just had the one dark green pen that you see me using right now. So I went back in with the same nib size. Okay, and once that was done, I came back in with the white jelly roll to basically address that exact same problem that I was telling you in the beginning, which is that the Riki Tiki triangular elements were sort of getting lost in all the coloring that I had done. And so, just to sort of emphasize them a little bit and to create some distinction and to bring in some clarity on the pattern, I went back in with the white jelly roll pen and decided to outline those little triangular elements as well as the curvy lines at the bottom. They kind of look like hats, which are going one inside the other. So that's interesting. It's actually very, very similar to Fungi's, which was the pattern that we used on day one. Do you agree with that? If you do, let me know in the comments below. Or you think they're completely different patterns and they don't have the similar visual language? Maybe it's just in my head. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Okay, so once all of that outline work was done, then I went back in to those stripes, and in my usual style that I was following for the 25 days of this challenge, I decided to add in some tiny little details, which are just basically little orbs, little dots, and that kind of stuff. And again, I didn't want to suffocate the tile because there was already a lot happening over here, so I just went in with simple white details over here. And then, of course, we always love the idea of adding a little bit more gold on our tiles. Gold is always good. You have heard me say that so many times on this channel. So, yeah, I just wanted to add in some gold details, and again, just adding them in simple small orbs, very similar to the motifs and the visual language that I have been maintaining for all the other projects in the series. So, yeah, just adding those little filler elements over here. Alright, so once that was done, then it was time to remove the washi tape, and you can see the final outcome over here. I love the idea of adding these washi tapes to the edges of my compositions because they create like this beautiful format or like a natural border or frame around the composition, and I absolutely, absolutely love that effect. And so yeah, you can see the final composition over here. So this was day 23 of our 25-day challenge. So 2 more videos to go, and I'm going to try and put them up very, very quickly, probably this week itself. But yeah, if you are interested to check out all the 25 projects in the series, then make sure that you check out the JoyTangle playlist on my channel, which is now linked in the description box below. And for more such videos and for more fun art content, make sure that you subscribe to my channel, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye!